Dan Wang is chief economist at Hang Seng Bank, China.
In the short term, I do think those measures will work to improve the market sentiment, because in the last month we have noticed this extreme negativity about China's economic outlook, and people were especially worried about the outlook for China's property market. And the most recent changes in the housing policy shows some marginal relaxation for home buying, and the cost of buying property is also lower. So I think in general it's good news for China's economy.
How deeply rooted, would you say, are the challenges that the Chinese property sector is facing?
Well, that problem has been long with China's past 30 years of economic miracle, because when we look at China's property sector, it's always a pillar industry. It has been a major booster for China's domestic consumption, and for an average Chinese family, if they don't buy a new apartment, they usually don't buy durable goods like cars or fridge. So now it seems that the liquidity for the real estate sector is starting to dry up, with the really strict regulations started from 2021. So now it seems that there is some signal that the housing policy is finally having a reversal. And for a lot of the developers and home buyers, this is starting to give them some hope. But still, we have seen that the debt level in the housing sector is high, and there's a long way to go.
The thing is about policy for governments all around the world, wherever they are, is that governments pull the levers of power and pull the levers on change, and sometimes it takes a good old while for anything to happen, if at all. I mean, how long will it take for all the stimulus measures of the past few weeks and months to take effect?
Well, I'm afraid it will take quite a while because the market confidence is still quite shaky. China's reopening has brought a widespread recovery in the consumer market, in investment, but when it comes to consumer confidence, it's closely related how the stock market is doing, how the property market is doing, and now China's housing price is starting to fall. And a lot of people have expected to fall further. And that means probably not a lot of people have the courage to really get back to the home buying activities.
Take us into perhaps the longer-term future then. What's your outlook for China's property sector in the longer term?
Well, for China's property sector, one consensus is that it has passed its peak. China's demographic structure has changed. Now the fertility rate in China is even lower than Japan. Many people had not seen that coming. And then when it comes to the long-term outlook, there is a belief that the Chinese government is trying to introduce this controlled decline for the housing sector in the long term. Maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see a further decline in home prices. And for real estate developers, they have been facing really strict regulations since 2 years ago, and a lot of them will face more liquidity problems because the recovery will be slow.
The truth is, this isn't just China's problem, is it? I mean, what would you say is the impact of China's slowing growth on the international economy?
China has always been the biggest buyer for commodities, so its economic recovery has huge impact for global energy prices and commodity prices. And for China's market, a lot of foreign investors still have high hope, especially the consumer market. After all, China still has the largest middle class in the world and is still growing. And the supply chain strength is also there. Although many of the companies are trying to diversify their supply chain away from China to circumvent any restrictions from the geopolitical tension, but ultimately they still depend on China.